How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the upgrades and downgrades of the Alienware Aurora R8 Ultimate Gaming Desktop. But before that, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe down below, and thank you for watching. Alright, so before I go on with this video, I would like to ask everyone for a small favor. Go ahead and hit that like button down below. It really helps out to grow the channel, and I really appreciate it. Also, if you're new to my channel, please go ahead and hit the sub button now, and along with that bell notification. I do post regularly, that way you can stay up to date on my latest videos. So this video is going to be about upgrading / downgrading the Alienware Aurora R8, the ultimate gaming machine. Of course, that is no longer the fact, as the new RTX cards are out, the 3080 and 3090, and also we have the 10th gen processor, but this thing still holds its own. This particular model, I do have a video that I made recently, not too long ago, and at that time this was the most powerful configuration that you could buy, you know, for a name brand like a Dell or HP, which consists of an i9 9900K, along with the RTX 2080 Ti. This thing also came with 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, clock speed 2666 megahertz, and 1 terabyte of NVMe SSD drive. Now, what I want to talk about here is a little bit about the upgrade, but mostly about the downgrade, and you will find out about that shortly, and I'll explain you what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so let's begin with the upgrades first. There's really not that much you could do to this thing. I mean, it is pretty, you know, pretty jam-packed already. The hardware is pretty good. So first thing is first, I would think you could work on the RAM, and I'm just going to use this stick here to show you. As you know, we have 4 slots here, so you could definitely upgrade from 16 to 32, and definitely I would recommend changing these lower clock speed RAM sticks to, like, for instance, something like right here. These are not expensive at all. This is just a 16 gig kit of DDR4s running at 3000 megs. Definitely will give you a better performance. I think something like this, definitely you need to be at 3000 megahertz or higher on the RAM, maybe even 3200. Should be no problems, and it should be a very cheap upgrade. Shouldn't really cost that much. RAM prices are pretty low nowadays. They really came down from about a year ago or so. We already have 1 terabyte of the NVMe. We'll probably leave that. You could add additional storage here, you know, another terabyte of SSD storage, 2.5-inch drives. Or really, if you want to go, you know, save a lot of money, you could get a 2 or 3 terabyte standard 3.5-inch SATA drive that'll come right here. And again, I have a review of this, but you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a open space, all the wires are here for you, no problem. And hold on, let me open this up a little bit. Okay. Then what else? What else we could do to this bad boy? Well, if your question is, can you upgrade the graphics card with this power supply? This is a 750 watt power supply, 80 plus rated, fully modular it appears to be. And yeah, it's definitely enough for the system. And yeah, this will be enough power to upgrade your RTX 2080 Ti to like an RTX 3080, but definitely not 3090. That's, you know, that's, I think you would want to go with a 1000 watt power supply. And it is possible that you could upgrade this power supply. It looks like this is a standard power supply, so should be no problem there. And then as far as that's pretty much it for the upgrades. You know, there's really nothing else much you could do to this. You already have the best 9th generation processor. Now, of course, in your case, there might be other, you know, setups like a 90, I don't know if they made this with a 9700, so I'm sure you could upgrade to the 9900, but you see what I'm saying. This particular model is already pretty much maxed out. Besides, you know, adding and upgrading some more RAM, additional storage, you know, that's pretty much it. And then the only other card that this power supply could handle is a RTX 3080. That should be no problem. All right, so now let's talk about the most important stuff, and that's the whole point of this video, is downgrading. And that's why I have all this extra stuff here, and I wanted to show you. So why would you want to downgrade this system? Well, again, if you paid a lot of money for this, or even if you paid $2,000 for this or something like that, which would be a bargain deal, or $1,500, I don't know, and you want to make some of that money back, so the plan is really to make 2 computers out of this, so that way you could maybe get rid of this, you know, this computer here by downgrading some of the parts and keeping the key components for another build. Why? Well, from doing my previous review on this desktop, I noticed the one major issue with this is the motherboard. And the motherboard, this one here, this Dell factory one, whatever it is, it's really holding back the performance of the processor and the graphics card. And I noticed that right away when I dropped this RTX into one of my older i7s, a custom build with aftermarket parts, you know, and as old as i7 7700K, and that's only a 4-core 8-thread processor, and I was getting better results in games with the same RTX card that came with this computer, you know, on that custom build. And overclocking really sucks on this motherboard. This whole setup, the processor gets really hot. There isn't any good airflow here. So that's one of the reasons you would want to downgrade. And I'm showing you a couple of parts, what you could do and how you could do that. So a couple of things. Number one, you want to downgrade the processor, and I got a couple of options here for you. I got the i3 and i5. So let's go with the i3 first. The i3 9100F, these are really cheap to get now. They're about $75 brand new. If you really want to go low end on this motherboard. Now you take out the 9900K, put that to the side, and, you know, start building up, you know, towards a next custom fully nice 9900K build with a nice aftermarket Z board. You know what I mean? That way you can get the most out of that processor. Because here, I mean, the throttling, the overclocking sucks. This thing runs extremely hot. I mean, it was a big difference when I dropped this RTX into just any of my older custom rigs. I mean, what a difference. Or you could jump into an i5 9400F. These are usually around $130, $140 if you want to go with the i5, 6 cores. That's a nice little downgrade. And again, you'll keep the RAM. Might as well keep this RAM here. And then this cooler here, this water cooler, and that's a pretty nice little thing. And I've done this in the past where I used an Alienware or HP water cooling OEM one, and they're compatible with an aftermarket build. I would take this out, not necessarily use it for the 9900K build, because this is really not enough. You need like a 240mm rad minimum for the 9900K. This is too small, but maybe for another build or so. So I would take this out. It's very simple. It connects to the motherboard with a 4-pin connection to the fan, same like anything else. You take everything out and you could replace it, since now you're dropping one of these processors. You know, they don't overclock. And this is a $10 Thermaltake universal heatsink here. It's very good actually for what it is. It does come with the 4-pin connection to the fan, so you're gonna get that maximum cooling for a really low-end $10 cooler like that. And yeah, that should be very easy. There's a back plate underneath here. When you remove this, you might have to unscrew the motherboard to go underneath and just put this back plate and just mount this aftermarket cooler, and you're good to go. That'll be just enough cooling for this build here. Okay, so next we're gonna talk about the graphics card here, for instance. So there's many options. I've chosen this RX 5500 XT. This usually goes for around 180 or so. It really depends on your budget. You could get a nice 1650 Super or an RX 580 or RX 570 maybe. That's kind of low though, but and you just drop it in here. You have all the connections, and all of a sudden now you have a downgraded rig. You took out the graphics card, you took out the processor, and you took out the water cooler, which could be used for another rig. And now you build this up. Oh, and one other thing, in this particular case, I have a 1 terabyte SSD here, NVMe. Definitely take that out and maybe replace it with like 256 gig standard M.2 or even 128 one, and then maybe drop in a terabyte of SATA storage, and there you have it. You have yourself a nice little gaming rig. Either you keep it for yourself for another room, or you go ahead and sell this and try to get some money back from that towards your custom build. Because what you're gonna need for the custom build is the motherboard, and they're not that expensive. The Z390s, you should be able to get a good one for around 140, 150, and definitely you'll get some money back once you sell this, or again split them into 2 rigs. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you guys about this upgrade downgrade video, because this motherboard and this whole setup here does hold back the RTX 2080 Ti and the 9900K. You cannot overclock it. You could barely overclock it. This thing runs really hot. The cooling sucks, and you're not really getting the same potential as if you would on a custom build. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll do my best to get back to you and answer all the questions you have. And I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.